I am Dick Ambrose. I am one of the 34 judges on the Court of Common Pleas.
How long have you been a judge?
17 years now, I believe, is the count.
And why are we sitting here talking today?
Well, I'm going to retire at the end of this year, 2021, to go on to hopefully bigger and better things.
So I guess the question a lot of people have been asking you is, your term is not up. Why do you want to step down at the end of this year?
Well, it's a matter of age. It's a matter of the environment that we just got through, COVID, causing a lot of changes in life and causing me to really think about, the rest of my life and, what I want to do with it. So I believe it was time, even though I know I haven't gone to the very end of my career, but having ended a career previous to this one that is in football, I know that sometimes you can stay a little bit too long and it's not quite the right thing to do.
So looking back on your career as a judge, how have things changed in the last 17 years?
Well, I think it's like everything else in our world. We've gotten more technically savvy, but there's been and more information has been exchanged with respect to the way the courts operate. It's both a benefit and a burden because I think with Facebook and other social media platforms out there, there's a lot more information out there. That information shows up in court sometimes to the detriment of people who may be on trial. But it also is somewhat unreliable from an evidentiary standpoint. So it has created a whole, cottage industry in, presentation of evidence and people trying to preserve that or trying to, verify that this is accurate information. So I think just the courts always evolve with society, maybe a little bit behind, and I think we're a little bit behind the curve on this too, but we have changed for the most part with a lot more technology being used to help us streamline our processes here.
Looking back, you've had a number of high-profile cases. Any that really stick out in your mind?
Well, I mean, the one that always comes to mind, I think of a lot of people, is the Anthony Sowell case, and recently that's been in the news because he passed away in prison, and that was certainly a seminal case for me, being so horrific in its scope, 13 deaths occurring, and a trial that lasted, much longer than I had hoped, but going into months instead of weeks. So it was a undertaking that, I would certainly, and no judge, I think, would want to repeat that or go through that. But it is something that had to be dealt with, and I think we dealt with it as best we could.
If you had to talk to somebody that's looking to go to law school, what kind of advice would you give them about pursuing a career in law?
I think it would be the same advice that I would have given them probably 17 years ago before I took this job, and that's really just to go after your passion. Whatever it is that really excites you, really piques your interest in the law. That's where you should go in terms of developing a career in the law. In other words, you should never be stuck doing something that you really don't enjoy doing, and that's probably true for any career, not just a career in the law. But I think for the most part, you owe it to yourself and you owe it to the people that you represent to make sure that that's something that you want to do and you're going to do it to the best of your ability and 100% of your ability, because you really can't hold back in this career or really in any other career if you want to be successful.
I think looking back on your career, you will be remembered for two things. One, your career as a judge, which has been, such a great 17 years. But before that, you had another career. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, and I'm certainly not talking about my career as a private attorney, which there was about 17 years of that before being a judge for 17 years. But I did have a career with Cleveland Browns as a player for 10 years, and that was certainly a part of my life and an enjoyable part of my life. I never foresaw myself as a judge when I was a player with the Browns, but that's how things did develop. but I always will enjoy that period of time in my life. Still have a lot of lifelong friendships from that career, and lifelong memories. Some good, some not so good, but that's the way the ball bounces. And I'm just very grateful and thankful that I had the ability to play and to enjoy a lengthy career in the NFL.
Well, one of the things that you shared with me in the past is how you started going to law school, and as I recall, that was during an NFL work stoppage.
Correct. Yeah, I had learned from observation that this is a career, the NFL, that does not last a long period of time, and it's not certainly a lifelong career. And so as I was into that career, 3 or 4 years, I started seeing a lot of people come and go. So I knew this was not going to last forever, so I knew I had to make some contingency plans for after football. And, I did do career counseling and everything like that, which kind of directed me to a career in the law. So I did everything necessary in order to gain admission to law school, and had gained admission to law school, Cleveland Marshall College of Law, in 1982. And that just so happens to be the year that we went on a players' strike. So I would have never been able to start my career as a lawyer in law school had it not been for that strike. And I'm not sure that things would have turned out exactly the same if there wasn't that strike, because then I would have just kept putting off law school till possibly the end of my career, which came 3 years later. But I think it was fortunate, that the timing worked out for me in that regard, and I was able to start, because getting started, once I got started, I knew I would finish it. And but that was the most difficult thing, was to get it started. And so I'm fortunate and lucky in that regard to have had that opportunity at that particular time in my life. And looking back, it all makes sense. But at the time, it was like, I just have to do this because this seems like the right thing to do.
So when you retired from the NFL, you already had a year of law school under your belt.
Yes, and that was extremely important, because once I was out of football, it's always a hard crash when you go from something you love to the unknown. But at least here I had my foot in the door in law school. I knew what to expect. I had something to go right into after my career ended. And I think that was extremely important. That's why I know the Players Association, et cetera, has been trying to, help players, bridge that divide between a playing career and a non-playing career, and maybe make more of a seamless transition than has been the case in the past. And I think, I don't know how whether they've been successful or not, but I know it's been something that they've been concerned with.
And I'm sure it's no coincidence that you chose an office that overlooks the stadium.
Yeah, I now have an office that overlooks Brown Stadium. That wasn't the way it always was, as you can expect. When you're a newbie to the court, you're not going to get the most attractive chambers, and I was on the other side of the building, which had a city view. But when one of these courtrooms came available on the north side of the courthouse, I certainly jumped at the opportunity to throw my hat in the ring, and I had a little bit more seniority then, so I was able to get the transfer over to this side of the building and have this wonderful view, not only of the stadium but of the lake and this part of the Cleveland skyline as well.
And I don't think I've ever seen you with a lanyard that wasn't Brown's.
Yeah, right. There's certain things that you have to stay loyal to, and certainly if I have a choice between wearing something plain or something Brown's, I'm going to wear the Brown's items.
Well, Judge, your career in both fields has been distinguished. Any parting thoughts on your time on the bench?
It's hard to be too philosophical about it, other than to say, I think like my previous career and contrasting this with the career in the law and my judicial careers, it's the same things still hold true, that it does take desire, dedication, and determination to be good at anything. And I think that's, whether that's the law or football, the same things hold true. You got to work hard at it. And, you have to put up with some disappointments here or there, but, you got to stick with the program. And I think, it's very true here that, sometimes the law doesn't seem that it's giving you the correct result, but, and there are cases where that may be true, but you got to stick with the program and follow the law, and I think you'll end up with the right result way more times than it would be the wrong result. So I do believe in our system of justice. I do believe that it will do the right thing, in the long run, and that's one of the things I take away from the job is just that it was a great place to be, great place to work, and great people here that are dedicated to their jobs, and I'm happy to be a part of that.
Well, I don't know if congratulations is quite the right word with retirement, but on behalf of everybody, let me just say thank you for your years of public service.
Well, thank you. It's been my pleasure, and certainly have enjoyed every moment of it.